Okay, so I got a little more news on the Daredevil movie. This news is interesting because this is going to be something we're just going to take in stride, I guess you could say. Because I was actually thinking this is going to reboot, but seeing the new news for it, new news, yeah, the news for it, the new updates, I should say, for the Daredevil movie, is that it's going to be like a sequel to the Daredevil movie. Now, no, I take that back. Over recent months, now, especially when you watch the director's cut of Daredevil, the director's cut of Daredevil is a whole lot better than the one we saw in the theaters. Yeah, the director's cut of Daredevil's a lot better. I'm not gonna say Daredevil's great, but actually, you know what? That's kind of funny that the Daredevil movie's a lot of debate. It's one of those few Marvel movies where it's like you either like it or you really hate it. I'm in between, you know? After watching the director's cut, I'm like, it's good, but it's not... And I was really hoping, because they had David Slade, who directed 30 Days of Night. He's in the running. Actually, no, he is the director for Daredevil. And now they've casted writers after I've ranted for about 2 minutes. Yeah, the writer, it's the screenwriter from Fringe, from the TV show Fringe. Now, I actually only watched the pilot episode of Fringe. I didn't get into it. I don't know why, it just didn't appeal to me. Well, actually, no, I remember watching the pilot episode, then I missed about 3 episodes, and I was totally lost. It's one of those it's one of those shows where you have to keep up with every episode. So, yeah. I didn't hate Fringe, I just couldn't keep up with it, so I kind of lost interest. But yeah, and I also learned that, also I didn't catch the name of the screenwriter for Fringe, but yeah, he's going to be the writer for the new Daredevil movie, and I found out it's gonna be a sequel. Well, kind of in a way. I don't know if they're calling it a reboot or a sequel, because it sounds like a sequel. They're going to be they want to be following the Frank Miller's Born Again story. Now, I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm not saying that's good. The reason why I'm not saying this is bad is because Born Again's a very, iconic, probably the most iconic story one of, if not the most iconic story in the Daredevil mythos. However, it's bad because I really wanted them to, hit the reset button on the Daredevil movie because the main problem I had with Daredevil 1 is because the first Daredevil movie is because the big reason I had a problem with the first Daredevil movie was they tried to cram in the entire first half of Frank Miller's run into one movie, and you can't do that because it would at least take 3 movies just to cover all of what Frank Miller did in his Daredevil book. I mean his Daredevil run. But yeah, I can't say that was my main problem. That was my main gripe, and I don't think you can fit all of Born Again into one movie. That would at least be a 2-part movie in itself. That is a big story. Daredevil's Born Again. So I'm guessing by the sound of it, you can't really make Born Again a movie on itself. So that's why I'm thinking this is going to be a sequel. I'm not saying that's bad, but I just don't think you can fit Born Again into one movie. There's going to be some major cutout stuff. And I was really hoping, that they would reboot it, but, I wouldn't mind a sequel as long as they don't have Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock. I didn't care much for him. I didn't mind Colin Farrell as Bullseye. I just wish he wore a costume. But yeah, I can't really say, I know it's getting tongue-tied again. I have that really big problem, don't I? Yeah. Daredevil, I was really hoping this was going to be a reboot because, like I said, you can't really fit all of Frank Miller's stuff into one big book. In my opinion, you can't really do that because it feels like that would, like I said, take 3 or 4 movies to cover. And doing the entire Born Again story just feels like you're going to be cutting out a lot of stuff. So I'm guessing it's not going to be a reboot now. I guess it's going to be a sequel because Born Again takes place after the death of the Elektra stuff, I believe. And you know, so I'm guessing now that Elektra's gone, and, well, I guess they're going to tie this into the god-awful Elektra movie as well, but So I'm guessing they're going to tie that in with what as well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was actually hoping for a reboot, and in fact, this might change. This is all just It's actually that's the plan so far. The plan might change. That the plan so far is that to make it a lot like Daredevil Born Again. However, that plan might change when someone in Fox might go, "Oh, we're rebooting the movie." So, yeah, that might change. I mean, so that's the plan so far, that they want to do Born Again. However, like I said, Fox might decide to reboot the franchise from, scrap the idea and, reboot it. That's what actually Incredible Hulk was. Incredible Hulk was originally supposed to be a sequel to that god-awful movie before, Hulk. But then someone decided Marvel wanted to reboot it. So, yeah. Thank you, Marvel Studios, for making a good Hulk movie. But yeah, I'm hoping that's the plan. That's the plan so far, that they want to do Daredevil Born Again. I'm hoping someone decides. This is probably the only time where I say, Fox, please just scrap the idea and make a reboot, because like I said, I don't know if it might be off-putting, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong several times before. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that you can't fit all of it into a movie. However, I know it's supposed to be all movie stuff, so I guess they're going to take they might do it actually what Iron Man 2 did. Take bits and pieces of different story arcs and put them into one movie. Kind of like Spider-Man 2 as well. They took bits and pieces of that, as well as X-Men 2. So actually, I take that back. It might actually be worth watching. The more that I'm starting to think about it, the more it might be a good idea. Keyword might. So maybe if they take bits and pieces of Born Again and some stuff from Brian Michael Bendis' run, that'd be very nice. But get some consultants on this. I mean, Fringe, as I'm always told, is a good show, and I have total faith in that. I just couldn't keep up with it. That was my problem. However, I just lost. Damn, I just lost what I was going to say. But yeah. The more I think about it, it could be good, because they might, for all we know, they could just take bits and pieces of Born Again and throw in some stuff from Brian Michael Bendis' stuff. They might throw in some stuff from Kevin Smith. They could. That's what they did with Iron Man 2. Well, at least Marvel Studios did with Iron Man 2. That's what they did with X-Men 2. That X-Men 2 still remains my favorite X-Men movie. That's what they did with Spider-Man 2. They took bits and pieces of different stories. So I'm guessing that if they go ahead with that rather than reboot it, because maybe a sequel would be better, the more I think about it, maybe what they should do is take bits and pieces of Born Again, but throw in some other stuff to make it interesting. And please, let's have Mr. Fear in here. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd really like to see Mr. Fear as a villain in this movie. I mean, Kingpin can be in here, but please, I want to have Mr. Fear in here for some reason. I just really want to see Mr. Fear in here. I think he'd be really cool. So take some stuff from Ed Brubaker's run as well. Take Hell to Pay. That story arc, Hell to Pay. So that'd be really cool. So yeah, the more I think about it, it could be interesting. The more I'm thinking about, the idea of, maybe they're not going to do the entire Born Again story. Why not just do, what I just said? So that might be interesting. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's a good idea to do, for them to do a sequel? The more I'm thinking about, the more I like it, rather than a reboot. So maybe it's not a bad idea, the more I think about it. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys like the idea of them doing Born Again? Or, kind of an adaptation of Born Again? Or do you guys want to see them reboot the franchise? Or do you want to see a totally different new movie? What do you guys think? I'm really curious, because now they got a screenwriter, they got a director. I'm just waiting for what else Fox is going to do. But truthfully, I just want them to give it back to Marvel. Please give it back to Marvel. But we'll see how it goes.